They're just the new buses. Stacy brought them to show them off. Hey, Holly, do we have anybody? Any? None? Okay. You got away with it, whatever it is. Okay. Ready? Holly? Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that notice of this meeting has been legally posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Board members Zeke Martinez and Russell Smith were unable to attend the meeting tonight. Please remember that items do not have to be taken in the order they're shown on the agenda, and please join us in turning your cell phones off or switching them to some type of silent mode. Next, I will ask Mr. Howarth if he will lead us in invocation.
Pray with us, please. Father God, we love you so much, Lord. We welcome you into this place tonight to reign over us, God, and to dwell within us as we make very important decisions that will impact students for generations to come, God. We thank you for the privilege and the responsibility and the honor to do that. And again, God, we just ask for your guidance in helping us do that tonight. Thank you for McMichael School and for Mr. Mulliken and for their presentation here tonight. It's in Jesus' perfect name we pray. Amen.
Okay, now I'll call on Mr. Tim Mulliken, McMichael Middle School Principal, to introduce the students that will lead us in the pledges to the flags this evening.
Good evening, President Davis, board members, Dr. Hayes. These are some of our delegates of our Model United Nations program. In Model UN, students pretend that they are delegates from various countries serving on UN committees. Participants research issues and formulate negotiating positions based on the real interest of the countries they represent. Depending on the committee they are assigned to, delegates might develop global environmental policies or advise the UN Security Council on economic sanctions. Model UN is the perfect opportunity for students to learn how to get involved, get passionate, and understand the world around them. The skills delegates gain in conflict resolution, public speaking, diplomacy, and writing, and the friendships they will build working with students from other Texas cities at the UIL Model UN at SFA, and also with other countries like Russia, Taiwan, Mexico, and Lithuania through the Global Elementary Model UN Conference will last them a lifetime. Barbara Maston is one of our Model United Nations sponsors and will introduce the delegates for the Pledge of Allegiance. Y'all want to go ahead and stand up, delegates, and then she'll introduce y'all.
Ms. Maston, have them come on up here onto the stage.
Oh, okay. You heard what he said. Please follow the directions of the president. Thank you so much. McMichael Middle School has attended Model United Nations at SFA since 2010, winning a plethora of trophies that include first place trophies for outstanding resolution, writing, best novice, maps, and collages. This year we have a record 8 countries to be represented at SFA and a membership of 51 delegates. Wow. The UN delegates here this evening who will be assisting us with the pledges are Gracie Odell, Monica Hernandez, Charlie Cordova, Soledad Ortiz, Isaac Cuevas, Jacob Cuevas, Caleb Thompson, Amy Detloff, Andrew Coe, Mackenzie Taylor, Kelsey Blankenship, Guadalupe Garcia. There we go, you're in. And thank you, and Noble Peck.
Wave your hand.
Okay, and then Andrew Nicholas, he's the one who's going to lead us in the pledges. So if you'll please stand.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas Pledge? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also recognize any of the parents of these phenomenal students that are here with us. Will y'all stand up, please? Thank you, guys. And I think did we get a picture of them? Awesome. All right, we'll come on down and we'll come right out this way.
Thank you, guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we come to a recognition portion, and for that I'll call on Miss Tammy Pankratz.
Thank you. Good evening, President Davis and board members. I'm so happy to be here tonight, and I have the distinguished privilege tonight of introducing someone to you, Mr. Whitaker. I'll call him up here in just a moment, but I want to tell you a little bit about Mr. Whitaker. Mr. Whitaker's been my assistant principal at Mike Moses for the past 3 years. He began on my campus as a social studies teacher in 2010 and quickly moved into the role as assistant principal at the urging of teachers. His strong commitment to education, students, and faculty has made him a beloved member of our staff. Students and adults love and respect him. He builds strong relationships that enable him to be a very effective administrator and fulfill his duties with care and concern for everyone that he serves. His duties are no different than most assistant principals, but what sets Mr. Whitaker apart is his wonderful attitude and his servant heart. He's always there for students and teachers, whether it's administering discipline in a fair and consistent manner, or whether it's taking a pie in the face as an incentive for students to reach for higher goals, even though he didn't actually have to take the pie this year. The other one won, but he was willing. He's also on the sidelines of football and basketball games because he is a coach and helps coach with our other coaches. And his goal is to be an example that all of our young men can follow. Mr. Whitaker makes coming to school an enjoyable activity for all of us. In addition to his regular duties, Mr. Whitaker is always eager to learn more, and he's currently entering the doctoral program at Stephen F. Austin to further his educational career. Also, he asks to take on extra projects all the time so that he'll be prepared one day to have his own campus, hopefully in NISD. And I'm recognizing Mr. Whitaker tonight because he received Region 7's Texas Association of Secondary Principals, which TASP for short, the TASP 2015 Assistant Principal of the Year for Region 7. So come on up, Mr. Whitaker.
Just a little bit.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, first, good evening. It is good to be here. First off, I want to say thank God and thank my family, and especially thank NISD for the opportunity to work here. It is a pleasure to be part of NAC ISD, and I thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will ask the notes to the minutes to reflect that Mr. Russell Smith has joined us. And next, we enter our public comment time. This is the time which the board has set aside to receive citizen comments. Individuals wishing to address the board should have completed a form located on the table by the entrance door and provided to me prior to the meeting. I have received none. Okay. Okay, now we come to the information items with report segments of tonight's meeting. And we'll begin with the superintendent's report. Dr. Hayes?
Thank you, Mr. President. Board members, in your packet of information there is a sheet that has Texas Education Today at the top of that. Would you please pull that sheet out so we can look at that information? When we began to build a budget last year, we had based our budget on some assumptions, and one of those assumptions was based on information from the 84th Texas Legislative Session that we would be receiving some additional funding from pre-K. If you will take a look at the second page of that information, this does fall under school district information, since it was an assumption that we made. I'm going to go through the first column there. It says, second paragraph, last sentence, the amount is not to exceed $1,500 per student. So this is information that the Texas legislature passed last legislative session to fund public schools. But then if you get over to the right-hand column, about halfway down, it says, it goes on, it talks a little bit about what your requirement says. It says also the district or charter must try to maintain an average ratio of 1 teacher or teacher's aide for every 11 students in a pre-K classroom. We didn't have a problem with that. We were going along with that information as we had understood this to be. But then if you'll get down to the very last sentence on the right-hand column, it says the first grants are to be issued for use in the 2016-2017 school year. We did not understand that information when we were formulating a budget, so that is some of the information that we are having to go back and take care of, and some budget amendments and discussions as we proceed. So again, nobody in the state knew about this because it was hidden somewhere in the law until some expectations came out from the Commissioner of Education. This explanation here. Again, Texas Education Today did come out in late August for your information. So that's one point I would like to make. And please note that I did use one sticky note several times to try not to be wasteful. So I did want to point that out. A couple of points for our students, just for your information. We had over at McMichael Middle School this past week and the week before last, we had a number of our students who hosted Japanese exchange students. And that's always a fun thing for them to do. And I've heard many families just go on about how good of an experience that was. And so we're going to plan to continue that. And as you know, in the spring, some of our students travel to Japan. So what a great experience that they have there. Piney Woods Fair was recently, I was going to say last week, but I get my weeks mixed up. I believe it was last week or the week before. We had a number of ag winners, and I know Ms. Summers is here right now. Ms. Summers, any idea about just an estimated number of people that we had win? Just a lot. Can we say a lot? Yeah. But thank you very much, and the ag teachers, for the great work that you guys do on having those students come out there with projects. I know that some of them won Best in Show and sweepstakes and just amazing stuff that's out there. If you saw their barbecue pit, I think that was like the hit of the whole fair for particular ag mechanic stuff. So a number of animal things had a good showing too. Last week we recognized Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones was recognized as an Under Armour All-American, and he will be playing in that particular game, which is shortly after the first year. I believe it's January 2nd. And it's a nationally televised game, and Brandon, as you know, is a senior this year, and we've had really he's a great athlete, but more importantly, he's a great young man, a good kid. Cross-country team advanced to area this year, so we're very proud of Coach O'Neill and the work that group are doing. They have a great group of students out there. If you're ever driving down Appleby Sand very early in the morning, or the Loop, you will see those students out there, and they have a reflective band on and make sure that they are not run over, right, Coach? And they work really hard to represent Nacogdoches ISD very well. We're very proud of them. Recently, we had a transition to our Home Access Center for Parent Communication. That took a little longer than we had anticipated for it to, but I believe right now it's up and running and usable. And we really want to work with our teachers and our staff members to make sure that our parents are getting the most up-to-date information possible. Well, we're excited about the robust system that this is, and believe that it's going to be really going to be something that our parents will be proud to have as part of their repertoire of monitoring their students and supporting their students. Recently at Fredonia Elementary School, we had a Hispanic Heritage Program, and a number of students and parents and community members took part in that. It was a really great thing because of the turnout. You know, that campus has a lot of Hispanics, and the heritage there is valued on that campus, and Ms. Chapa did an amazing job of making that turnout just right. All-Region Choir. You know, the good things just continue to happen at our high school. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about some all-region choir members. Nicholas Van Clee, Walker Paulman, Nate Gailey. I may have said his name incorrectly. I apologize if I did. Connor Parr and Colton Wilhite. Michelle Montero, Elizabeth Montoya, Kimberly Collin, Cameron Davis, Amanda Fairs, Katie Cobb, and Reagan Fitch. All those are students who did very well and made the all-region choir for Nacogdoches ISD. We're very proud of them. As you also may have known, our band received all ones in the marching contest this past Saturday at marching contest at Stephen F. Austin State University. We're very proud of Mr. Wells and the work that he and his band directors and band leaders do, but more importantly, the work that those students do. They're out there at the end of July working on that. And then they're there at every football game representing Nacogdoches ISD with excellence every single week. And if you've watched them from the beginning of the year to now, you can see the great work that Mr. Wells has done, because they just get better and better and better every week. The first week you go out there and you go, oh no, it's the worst I've ever seen. And then by now you're saying, man, those guys are top notch. So congratulations to Mr. Wells and that band on that great work. I also want to compliment Mr. Coker. Mr. Coker's out there. If you'd wave your hand, Mr. Coker. Mr. Coker is doing a great job working with Mr. Winfield on preparing our technical training center to be ready to go. And I'd also say to Ms. Summers, Ms. Summers has been indispensable, extremely important in this process of getting this ball rolling. I'm going to give you just a brief update about some things that are going on. Mr. Coker sent these to me yesterday. Angelina Adult Education starts moving in tomorrow. Mr. Coker has met with them and believes it's going to be an extremely smooth transition for the Angelina College to start moving in on their adult education. Construction continues. The sheetrock is almost up, and a lot of it, as I understand, is taped and bedded from Mr. Coker. So that's something maybe that Mr. LaRue may allude to here in just a little bit. Mr. LaRue is meeting with Mr. Coker is meeting with Brazos Transit about getting bus service to the Martin Rector Technical High School that's out there, as well as to Angelina College, so it's placed on their maps of regular service to that campus. So that's great work there, Mr. Coker. The course offerings from Angelina, according to Mr. Coker, continue to grow. Time slots are filling up. It appears that the center is going to be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and even some Saturdays to meet the demand that we have that's going on out there. Angelina College providing an off-duty campus police officer to provide security from 5:30 to 10 to help those students make that transition. Currently, we have about 8 of our Martin Rector Technical High School students who are planning on signing up for the Business Soft Skills course that's offered out there at the center, and that will be offered through the Texas Workforce Commission, so Workforce Solutions. So very good work there. And right now, in our OSHA coursework, that's going very well. Our students have been over there about a month now, I think, on that OSHA program. Feedback is extremely positive. How many students do we have in that? 15, is that correct? 14 students in that program. And Ms. Meyer and others are just doing a great job of making sure that there's a cultural change there from when you shift from the Martin Center out to the Technical Training Center. And we're seeing that through those students. Many students their attendance is a lot higher on those days when they go out there than it is on days when they stay on campus. And I think it's because of the value that's put on those students. They say, look, you're worth something, and I think we're seeing that. So high expectations are placed on them for our adults. If you'll look around, finally, the posters in the room have been changed. Thank you, Communications Department, for doing that. I'm not sure, Ms. Miller, who in your department did that, but they were needed, and they look very good, so please look through those. I believe you probably even have some throughout the hallways and other places, but take a look at those. Those are our students doing good things for our other students. You can see the big football player over there with the baby at Fredonia. Nice picture. It made me smile when I came in here and saw that this afternoon. And also, if you'll look at our bulletin board in the executive board room, McMichael did that. So thank you very much. And Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have a facilities update, and for that, I'll call on Mr. LaRue.
Good evening, President, board members, Dr. Hayes. I started a card around. I'll kick off with a thank you from the custodial workers. They all signed a card, wanted you to know, and you probably don't hear thank you very often, I know, they got a raise at the 1st of September, and they appreciate that. The management also appreciates that. We have had previously a pretty significant turnover rate in custodials. To date, we've only lost one custodian this year, so our turnover rate is dramatically declined, and that's a good thing from a facility standpoint as far as taking care of things. And I want you to know that the supervisors of that group of people is not just enjoying that, they're now pushing. Now that we've got the same people working every night in the same buildings, we're able to start doing improvement plans and talking about how do we get to that next level and how do we fix those little things that we might be missing. So it's made a big difference, you know, keeping the same people in the building, and they wanted that card to come to you. So, a little construction update. I already mentioned the tech center. Really, these pictures are a week old and way out of date. That project is moving very quickly. Other little project you approved last month was a repair to the Fredonia roof. That happened on a Saturday morning to accommodate no interruptions to classrooms or to classes. This is over at Regay, cafeteria expansion. And on the other side, that picture is dark. This is the pour of the main slab of the addition. That pour started at 2 a.m., again to accommodate as little interruption as possible. Now the Regay staff has been very accommodating because obviously it's hard to build next to them without having some interruption. We started at 2 a.m., took 18 truckloads of concrete. We had the last truck out and the pump truck out before the first employee arrived to the building. So then they spent the day finishing the concrete. So we're moving that project along as quickly as we can. Next week, steel should start to go up on that project. On the cafeteria side next week, the bricklayers should be on site. So it's moving along well. We have not had any significant issues. That pretty limited. I will add that next week on Wednesday evening, 4 o'clock, I'm sure you've already got the invitation, but Ag Farm ribbon cutting. We're all very excited about that. There's already livestock out there. And pens are built. They've been working night after night. They're out there right now working at the Ag Farm. Students are out there building pens and getting everything ready. So it's really looking like something, and it's going to be a great addition. Are there any questions I can answer directed to facilities?
Is that the dates were and the dates and the day and the day of the week and the date was wrong last time? Is it on Wednesday the 28th?
I'm looking for.
It is
You guys
Wednesday,
do
the 28th,
invite.
4 to
Yes.
6.
Oh,
in your
okay.
folder.
Anything else? Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, next we have a report on employment of retired teachers, and for that I'll call on Mr. Martin, Michael Martin.
Good evening, President Davis, board members, Dr. Hayes. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to report to the board on the employment of retired teachers within Nacogdoches ISD. First of all, the retired teacher system is governed by the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 31, and it established the Teacher Retirement System of Texas, of which our district is a participant of. First, we have some definitions here. A school year is from September 1 to August 31, and a substitute is defined as a person who temporarily serves on the basis of another current employee. The main thing to take from this slide is that a retiree cannot be considered as a substitute when serving in a vacant position. These are TRS rules. NISD, of course, is a TRS covered employer. An annuity, I think everyone knows what that is. It's just a specified amount on stated intervals that a former employee would get a payment. TRS rules say that all retirees must wait for 1 calendar month before returning to a TRS covered employer. After the required 1 full calendar month break in service following the retirement date, the retiree can return to work without losing their annuity as 1, a substitute without any limit of the number of days, and 2, as much as one half time per month, per each month. If an employee or a retiree has retired prior to January the 1st, 2011, the retiree can come back to work without losing their annuity payments for any position, any employer, and any amount of time. In summary, there's no limits, no loss of annuity if they retired prior to January the 1st, 2011. However, the surcharges that must be paid by the TRS covered employers for employing certain retirees may apply if they retired after 2005. Our board policy, but according to the board policy, the current contribution amount taken from the employee salary to go toward the TRS for the retiree is equal to the same as if the retiree were an active employee contributing to the TRS system. Also, the current contribution amount authorized by the General Appropriations Act that the state would contribute for that retiree if the retiree were an active contributing member to the TRS account there. The surcharges are equal to, that are imposed on the employees, are equal to approximately around 30 to 35%. And those surcharges are paid to the teacher retirement system. Also, I threw this slide in there just to talk a little bit quickly about the Affordable Care Act, which does impact the substitutes. 2 parts to the Affordable Care Act. First, we must offer, as a district, insurance to full-time employees and their dependents, and 2, make the insurance affordable to the full-time employees. We do offer the insurance to those employees who, every employee we offer the insurance to. However, we do limit our substitutes to 130 hours per month. In summary, Nacogdoches ISD does practice the hiring of retirees to full-time teaching positions. We also employ TRS retirees in substitute positions. Currently, we have about 3 positions that are filled by full-time retirees in our district in teaching positions. Any questions?
Do we have anybody considering doing part-time employees seem like that would be or half-time employee would seem like, from the information you gave us, would be the ideal situation. Do we have any positions like that that could be available?
Could be, yes, sir. We would have to get all of our positions right now are full-time, so we would actually have to get a half-time employee or retiree for the morning, a half-time for the evening. It is an open option, yes, sir, but at the moment, I don't think we have two that are wanting to come at the time. Yes, sir.
What is your starting, do you start the teacher based on their years of experience, or do you start them at a set rate when you do a rehire?
We start them at their years of experience.
You can't adjust, is that by policy or just by regulation?
As far as I know, that is our practice. We start them where their experience.
But you can't negotiate that down to offset that 30% that surcharge?
I think that's well within our.
Yeah, you would. My understanding is, and I'm glad Mr. Hagelin, maybe you can help shed some light on this, but my understanding is you have to have a standard by what the district normally hires folks under, and you'd have to stick to that standard. You couldn't adjust it based on, okay, you're going to need to pay that, or we're going to need to pay that 30%, because then you're finagling the system a little bit. There needs to be, the district says, we're going to start retirees at this. Is that pretty much your understanding, Mr. Hagelin?
Dr. Hayes, my understanding is that originally when the retiree hire law took effect, that districts were able to negotiate that, and we did in a number of districts, to require the retiree to pay all or part of that surcharge. My understanding is they changed the regulations and that we're not permitted to do that anymore.
But there's no there's no regulations that say we will pay them based on years of experience.
I don't know the answer.
We could set a price and say this is what we hire rehires on.
Let me check that. I honestly don't know that answer.
To where we could actually
Make up the difference.
we could make up the difference, or it could be a win-win for all above.
We'll check that out and we'll back to you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Board.
And next, we'll have a report on the procurement card implementation update, and for that, we'll call on Mr. Max McCarley.
Board President, members of the board, Dr. Hayes, a little over a year ago, the district was being faced with the issue of student travel, professional travel, and the fact that many of our staff don't have credit cards. And presentation of checks to many of the hotels, motels these days, they would not take them. So the board, administration working with the board, came up on the idea of a procurement card, which the state of Texas has had in place for a number of years, and it's worked very successfully. So last October, we issued those cards. In April of this year, we wanted to know how those cards had been received by the staff, and a survey was sent out with the help of the communications department here in the district, and the results of that came back in August. Somewhere around 500 employees, primarily professional and teachers, of course, answered. I think we had somewhere around 97 responses, I was told. So I've got some quick slides. There were only 5 quick questions, and here they are. First question, we just wanted to know if it had improved their travel experience over the previous system, and where they had to have travel checks, going to the bank, cashing that check, or whatever it may be. They may use a credit card if they had one. Many do not. So 75% liked it, better than the previous system. When they were traveling, particularly with students, this is the one that we were most concerned with, is being able to accommodate our students, even in emergencies. When that check we give them or whatever is not enough. So the payments were being made for the meals rather than carrying cash. And we got a 73% positive rating on that. We were concerned about security, the issue of security, and we wanted to know how they felt using the procurement card compared to using their own credit card or personal cash, or cash from the district. 87% liked it. Also, we have a number of these vendors we go to. We take students to NASA, the zoo in Lufkin or Tyler, the bowling alley. A lot of this is toward the end of the year, of course, museums, other locations, of course, 82% were favorable. Then finally, we kind of wanted to know, okay, overall, what's your feeling about this procurement card? Did we do a good job implementing it? 5 being very good, 1 being very poor. And we got a 94% positive rating on it. So, in fact, since then, it's even gotten better. Early on, we were getting all kinds of little issues. I'm getting very few phone calls now. It's gotten much better. Thank you.
Any questions?
Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda. Unless removed from the consent agenda, items will be listed and will be acted on in one motion. If there's a board member who wishes to discuss an item on the consent agenda separately, please indicate the agenda letter will be set aside for further discussion and a separate vote. I'll note that the administration has pulled B, and you'll notice a pink tab in your folder. That's the new B. We'll get to that in a minute. Any other?
C1.
C1. Okay. Any others? Okay, with the exception of B, and actually it's just B1. With the exception of B1 and C1, can I get a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
All right, can I get a second? A motion from Ms. Rushing, second from Mr. Green. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, board. B1, and I'll call on Ms. Barber.
Good evening, President Davis, board members, Dr. Hayes. If you please take a look at your handout that has a pink tab, the budget amendments. The budget amendment that is labeled E has been changed. We received $320,800 from a property value study done by Gil Masters, and the change was the way we wanted to distribute these funds. $32,080 is to pay his bill, and the remaining $288,720 is to go to instruction to cover costs for interventions and summer school. Do you have any questions?
Can I get a motion concerning that? Mr. Green?
Make a motion that we accept this report as she stated.
Motion, Mr. Green. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
With Reverend Irvin. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, it's Reverend Irvin, Ms. Rushing, myself, Mr. Green opposed, Mr. Howard, and Mr. Russell. Okay, that passes. Thank you. I will ask, though, in the business office under funding somehow, I learned today of some new positions and some raises that were given. I would like that to be part of the business office report for the ones I learned about today and any future ones. New positions, not filling old positions. Okay, the next we go to is C1, and for that I'll call on Reverend Irvin.
Just concerned, we only had one bid for the truck, and just concerned we didn't want to wait to get other bids or just move. I didn't know if our policy required more than one bid before we made a purchase.
Okay.
Evening, again. We did solicit bids from all other Ford dealers. This is the only Ford dealer who chose to respond to us. Max handled that process, the bidding process. We only got one bid. I'm guessing that all the other Ford dealers are asking, you don't bid on ones in my town, and I won't bid on ones in your town. I don't know. We don't know what's going on, but we only got one bid back.
And we gave them a period of 30 days, not 2 weeks, but we gave them plenty of time. The only thing I can think to was we were pretty specific as to the kind of vehicle we wanted, and also the lift that had to be mounted on it. Like Mr. LaRue says, that's the only bid we got. I know the others received it. I had a receipt back by email that they received it. 1 or 2 I didn't get one, but that deals with email. But the majority of them did receive it and did open it. But no
And you
response.
specified a 2016 model?
Yes, we did.
So that's probably part of your issue too. They're just coming off the,
Could be.
but
Any other questions? Did we consider a gently used vehicle at this point?
Well, it's a relatively specialized vehicle for a plumber. Comes with we got a cab and chassis, and then we're having a toolbox, utility bed mounted on it, ladder rack mounted on it, and a lift. Our plumber is independent, does not have a plumber's helper, and he has to muscle the snake machine in and out. He's currently working out of a half-ton van, so we're stepping him up to a 3/4-ton pickup. And again, it's specially set up for his equipment. And on the used market, it's really hard to find all of those features on the same package.
Okay.
Well, does it have to be a Ford?
Doesn't have to be a Ford, but we picked a 3/4-ton, and we just spec'd Ford specs, so that when we compared, thinking we would get other bids, we could compare apples to apples. If we were to to get a Chevy bid in the middle of the Ford trucks, it's hard to say which is equal and which isn't equal.
And it has to be a 2016.
In their specs, it was.
their spec, that's what they spec.
That's what we spec.
Yeah. It's just a hard time of year, but now is when you need it, so.
Is this a diesel or?
Gas. All of our fleet is currently gas.
That might have been part of the problem.
I just know a Ford diesel is a lemon, so I was just.
Okay. There goes our Ford sponsorship.
Well, it's probably, yeah, well, national TV.
Can't say that about food.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion concerning this?
Thank you.
I move that we approve C1 on the agenda.
Reverend Irvin, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ms. Rushing, all in favor? And that's Mr. Reverend Irvin, Ms. Rushing, myself, Mr. Green, and Mr. Smith. Those opposed, Mr. Howarth. That passes. Thank you, Board. Next, we go to action. We'll now proceed with the action agenda, and things will be taken separately. And the first is the first reading of the TASB Update 103, and for that, I'll call on Mr. Burton.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, President Davis, distinguished board, Dr. Hayes. If y'all will look at the board book on page 291, you'll find the start of Update 103. A lot of these things, or some of these things, may seem familiar to you because we've done the student handbook and the student code of conduct, and a lot of these items were also listed there. Starting on page 293, you should have read at some point probably this week or last. The explanatory notes kind of goes into greater detail about what each item is. You'll see the difference. Some of them are legal, some of them are local. We only take action on the local because that's all that we're allowed to maneuver with anyway. And then below that, on page 328, is a local policy comparison, kind of a red line, green line, blue concept of what's changing. Some of them are minor changes, some of them are new. As a matter of fact, we have 10 revised and we have 2 new policies. So if you'll permit, I will try to make this as painless as possible. I'm going to go through a slide presentation. I will open up for questions at the end. I'm just going to give you a brief summary of these. Starting with BF Local, it's basically an organization as far as looking at how the book is organized and BF Local is organized and where the copies of this will be kept. Another thing it looked at was when policies are together, both the legal and the local read at the same time to give a full understanding of the policy. So anytime we read a policy, we'll put both of those together. Like if there's a BF legal, it would be along with BF local. Terms in the policy manual, terms trustee and board member are going to use interchangeably. So they're going to reflect all the duties and obligations of either office. And then harmony with the law. Newly enacted law is applicable when effective. So if it was a January 1 date the law went into effect, that is now effective in our policy. And then the last part used to say that the copy of the policy manual would be in the superintendent's office, but the official copy will be kept in the central administration office. It also deleted having other copies around in district because policy online has become kind of the thing to do there, and so they've taken that portion out. CAA local has to do with fiscal management, goals and objectives, and financial ethics. One thing that was added there, if you will see in the gold, is agents. Before, all those other things were listed when it came to the ethics and filing conflicts of interest. Agents will now be required to do the same thing. An agent, I believe, is just another way of covering anybody else that may be involved with a company. They may not actually work for the company. They could be a third-party vendor or something like that. And then as you'll see, the conflict of interest for vendors in CH and then CB local and CBB legal is also addressed. A lot of things have changed, or there's been some significant changing in the conflict of interest statements. CB local, this is actually a new policy, and it was recommended because they've changed what they call the EDGAR, or the Education Department General Administrative Regulations. A couple of things they've done there is they wanted to be sure that we did have conflict of interest statements from everyone. At one point it was board and superintendent, but now anyone that in administration or anyone that would be part of a committee to advise towards one of these grants, be it state or federal, they would also have to be sure they have a conflict of interest statement turned in so they know there's no issues with that. Personnel training on CKE local, this has to do with our resource officers or our district police. The old statement was that going out and training each year or yearly training. Now it just says they have the minimum amount of law enforcement training required. That's the only thing that was changed there. Food service management, CO local, actually has come out to be sure that we have some procedures in place for students who are using a meal card or have, in our case, that have a meal account. It gives you certain specifications on grace period, the amount of time that you have to give those students. If they come up and they don't have money on their account, you can't just say, sorry, you don't eat. You're to establish some guidelines for that to be sure that they're covered. And then it also has the amount of time that the student would have to catch that account up, and could even put some limits on how much could be put on an account. It's a relatively new, it is a new policy. Again, DBD local, conflict disclosure. Again, non-school employment. It's now saying that anyone working for the district must inform the district if they're taking any outside employment other than with the district. And then private tutoring must be reported if you're a teacher and you're tutoring students from our district, not outside students, but students that actually go. You're responsible for letting the district know that in writing. DH local, this is what we've already seen through our handbooks, both the employee handbook and our student handbook. Weapons is more clearly defined in state law. Electronic media, again, reinforces that websites, a lot of different things that teachers now incorporate into their classroom. Really have to be careful and sign over that we do acknowledge our user agreements on that, and that we're held to a standard. E-cigarettes, again, are put in there with tobacco and regular cigarettes. They're treated just like a tobacco product. And then it touches on prescription medications as far as having a prescription that is written to the employee or a prescription to the child of the employee or the guardian of the employee. That's allowed, and it's not against policy. Freedom from discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, the definition, the small change in that, if you'll notice in the book, is going to be that people that are not full-time employees, that if we have people that are unpaid interns, they are also protected under this same statute, and that the reporting requirements are the same from there. That if it's an unpaid intern, they are still required to report that, and we are required to report that once that happens. As a matter of fact, we were at a conference 2 weeks ago, and Mr. Hagelin gave a presentation over a lot of this exact same thing and dealing with that. And they're broadening the scope of that to try to handle a lot of those things. Compulsory attendance, FEA local. We've had this also before in our student handbook this year. Excused absences. One of the things that they've put in there is that absences in which makeup work was given ahead of time and students turn that makeup work in, they can go towards their 90% rule. So they can actually count those days. They'll be absent, but they won't be required to make those days up as far as advancing. And then, of course, the significant change was before a student under the age of 18 could be withdrawn. Now it is under the age of 19. EEC local, again, consideration for absences and 9% rule, and the award of final credit goes back to the things that they've done, why they've been absent, doctor's care, all those things can be taken into consideration there. And then the appeal process, the board is as high as they can go with an appeal. It's just reiterated that. And community relations conduct, again with the tobacco and e-cigarettes and the weapons, same exact as we had with our employees. It's just being sure they understand what's allowed, what's not allowed. E-cigarettes, any tobacco product are considered the same. And then weapons, clearly defined and distinguished what a weapon is. Instead of a knife X amount of size or this amount of size, it says an illegal knife, and it talks to that. And then with relations to government entities, GRA local, it has changed that if a government entity, be it a police force or CPS comes, it used to state that if they desired to speak with a student, then you had to take that in consideration. Now it states they must request to speak with the student. And then instead of parents, it's parent will be notified. It also says in there, if it's in the best interest of the child, that there's some reason the agency does not need that parent to be identified or told at that point, then that needs to be considered. In other words, CPS, they're investigating something, it allows the principal or the person in charge there to use discretion as to whether or not they would actually contact the parent in that time. Can't do it any faster than that. Any questions?
Pretty good. Any questions?
Pretty good.
Okay. As far as the first reading of TASB Policy Update 103, can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the first reading.
First reading.
Of the policy.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion from Reverend Irvin, a second from Mr. Howard. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, Board. Next is the consideration board action on nomination of candidates for the Nacogdoches County Appraisal District Board of Directors as representatives of Nacogdoches ISD. Dr. Hayes.
Thanks, Mr. President. This comes around a time that we need to select a couple of members for the Appraisal District Board of Trustees, and the folks who have been Board of Directors, the folks who have been doing it in the past have indicated that they would be agreeable to do it in the future, to continue their service. If you all are interested in that, that's Steve Green and James Irvin.
Does anybody else want to be on the board?
I've done it. It's a lot of fun.
I've done it too, so.
That's not what I asked. Reverend Irvin, Mr. Green, if I can get a motion from somebody nominating the two of them.
I move to approve Reverend Irvin and Steve Green for the Board of Directors at CAD.
All right,
as
is that a
our
motion?
Representatives.
Mr. Howard, can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, second from Ms. Rushing. My only comment is, it's my understanding Mr. Green is going to ascend to be chairman of that board? Is that
I'm presently the chairman.
presently the chairman? Okay. All right.
But that could change in January.
Oh,
When the new board comes in, you reconfigure.
okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor? And it's unanimous. Thank you, board. Next, consideration of and board action of construction contract for Technical Training Center Phase 2. And again, I'll call on Mr. Burton.
President Davis, Dr. Hayes, board members, if you will refer to your board book on page 1089, we have the contract listed there. It is actually a A101-2007, and then below that are amendments to that contract that I believe Mr. Haglund and a group of attorneys worked on with TASB. These are the contracts and the contract and the amendments that we have given TCMC and to construct our Phase 2 of the Technical Training Center. They have received the contract and the amendments, and from my understanding, when I last visited with them, they had signed that and sent it back to Mr. Haglund's office. And so we have bringing you tonight that contract for your approval.
And I saw Mr. Haglund hand that off today. So we have that. Can I get a motion to approve this contract? Mr. Green?
I'll make a motion that we approve this contract.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second. Sorry, James.
From Mr. Howard? Any questions, Mr. Burton? All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you, board. The administration has pulled D, so we're not going to be dealing with that tonight. We're about to go to executive session. Before we do, Mr. Lampkin has some new buses out in the parking lot he would like us to go visit before we go to executive session. So I'm going to ask everybody to do that on your way out. All right. And with that,
Mr. President,
yes.
before we go, I would just like to ask us to keep the Alto community in our prayers and the Alto School District.
The loss of a student during football. Yes. Thank you. The board will now conduct executive closed session to discuss the items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act and as allowed by the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting, and any action the board wishes to take as a result of the discussions in the closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. It is now 7:56 p.m. Thank you. 6:56. 6:50. We've never ended this early, so that's what threw me off.